Did you know there's a football team that lost 114-0? And that there is a creature that has not two sexes, but seven? Yep. The world is full of jaw-dropping facts you've probably never heard before. Welcome to the Factainment Files. From bizarre science to outrageous history, these facts will leave you questioning reality. Here are 30 mind-blowing facts that you probably didn't know. Fact 1. 7 sexes. Yes, there is a single-celled organism with not 2, but 7 sexes. It's called Tetrahyena thermophila. This microscopic creature can mate with any of the 6 other sexes, creating 21 possible mating combinations. Even more amazing, the sex of their offspring is randomly assigned. Talk about genetic diversity on overdrive. Fact 2. The American chestnut. Once called the redwood of the East, the American chestnut was a giant among trees, towering over 100 feet and dominating 25% of eastern U.S. forests. It fed wildlife, supported communities, and built the backbone of American industry. But in the early 1900s, a foreign fungus wiped out 99.9% of these trees in a catastrophic blight. Today, only stumps remain, a ghost of a forest that once was. Fact 3. Golden Hat of Schifferstadt. Deep in Bronze Age history, about 3,000 years ago, a remarkable treasure was crafted, the Berlin Gold Hat. Standing nearly 2.5 feet tall and made from delicate gold leaf, this ceremonial cone was likely worn by ancient priests or leaders. Adorned with intricate symbols, it may have served as a calendar or tool to track the sun's movements. Discovered in Germany and now housed in Berlin, this golden hat offers a stunning glimpse into the mysteries of Europe's ancient past. Fact 4. Stranded in the unforgiving Australian outback, 21-year-old Thomas Mason's car broke down 150 kilometers from the nearest town. With no help in sight, he set off on foot, walking over 100 kilometers in brutal heat, surviving on sheer willpower and even his own urine. After days alone in the wilderness, he brushed past a search party who was looking for him and was rescued, astonishingly in remarkably good spirits. Fact 5. Hyenas are not dogs. Think hyenas are just wild dogs? Think again. Despite their dog-like looks and behavior, hyenas aren't canines at all. In fact, they're more closely related to cats. These fierce scavengers belong to their own family called Hyenidae, and share a closer evolutionary link with lions and leopards than with wolves. Fact 6. Face transplants are real. Face transplants sound like science fiction, something you've seen in the movies, but they're very real and life-changing. Since the first full face transplant in 2010, patients with severe facial injuries or disfigurements have been given a second chance at life with new faces, including skin, muscles, and even tear ducts, restoring not just appearance but identity and hope. Fact 7. Bees can get drunk. When they feed on fermented nectar or overripe fruit, the alcohol affects their coordination and behavior, much like humans after a few drinks. Guard bees in the hive are highly observant and can detect these intoxicated bees returning from foraging. Guard bees don't typically drunk bees, but they do respond aggressively, often blocking or rejecting impaired bees to protect the hive. This fascinating behavior shows just how complex and organized bee societies really are, with strict roles and consequences to keep the colony safe and efficient. Fact 8. Titanic survivors expelled from U.S. The 6 Chinese survivors of the Titanic disaster faced harsh discrimination upon arrival in the United States due to the Chinese Exclusion Act, a U.S. federal law in force from 1882 to 1943 that severely restricted Chinese immigration. They were detained and expelled from the country within 24 hours after the ship docked in New York. Fact 9. Giffen goods. Most goods follow a simple rule. When prices go up, people buy less, but not Giffen goods. These rare exceptions actually see demand increase as their prices rise, a phenomenon known as the Giffen paradox. Often tied to basic necessities for the poor like bread or rice, people may buy more of them when prices spike because they can't afford anything else. Fact 10. Leopard seal attack. In July 2003, Kirsty Brown, a 28-year-old marine biologist with the British Antarctic Survey, became the first recorded human fatality attributed to a leopard seal. While snorkeling near the Rothera Research Station on the Antarctic Peninsula, she was unexpectedly attacked by a leopard seal, which dragged her underwater. Despite immediate rescue efforts by her colleagues, she could not be revived. Leopard seals are known to be curious and occasionally aggressive towards humans, but fatal attacks are extremely rare. This tragic incident highlighted the potential dangers of close interactions with wildlife in remote environments. Fact 11. Delayed marriage. Marriage has changed a lot over the decades. Back in the 1950s through the late 1970s, the average man in the United States got married for the first time around age 23, while women typically tied the knot even younger, at just 20 or 21. It was a time when settling down early was the cultural norm. But fast forward to today, and the story is very different. Now, the average age for first marriages has climbed to over 30 for men, and nearly 29 for women. This shift reflects big changes in society, like people spending more time in school, focusing on careers, and feeling less pressure to marry young. Fact 12. Shortest passenger flight. The world's shortest scheduled passenger flight operates between the Scottish islands of Westray and Papa Westray in the Orkney Islands. This route, operated by Loganair, covers a distance of approximately 1.7 miles or 2.7 kilometers and is scheduled to take about 1.5 minutes, though actual flight times can be even shorter depending on wind conditions. In fact, the fastest recorded flight on this route was completed in just 53 seconds. This flight has been in operation since 1967 and serves as a vital link for the local communities, providing essential connections for residents, students, and healthcare professionals. The aircraft used is typically a Britten-Norman BN-2 B-26 Islander, which can seat up to 10 passengers. Due to the lack of a bridge and the alternative being a 25-minute ferry ride, this flight remains the most efficient means of transportation between the two islands. Fact 13. Seamus the soldier dog. Meet Seamus, the 17th Regimental mascot of the Irish Guards, a proud Irish wolfhound with a royal job. Named Turlough More after an ancient Irish king, but lovingly called Seamus, this four-legged soldier leads ceremonial parades and represents the regiment with dignity. From royal events to national celebrations, Seamus is more than a mascot. He's a furry piece of tradition. Fact 14. The Quiet Revolution. In the 1960s, Quebec underwent a massive transformation known as the Quiet Revolution. The provincial government took control of schools, hospitals, and Hydro-Quebec, services that had long been run by the Catholic Church. This shift modernized Quebec, created jobs, and dramatically reduced the church's influence. It also sparked a powerful wave of Quebec pride and nationalism, inspiring a growing movement for independence. What began as a quiet social reform became one of the most defining eras in Quebec's and Canada's modern history. Fact 15. Weird family swap. In 1973, Yankees pitchers Fritz Peterson and Mike Kekich shocked the sports world by swapping their entire families, wives, children, houses, and even their dogs. What started as a friendship between the two couples turned into a full-blown family trade. Peterson later married Kekich's ex-wife, and they stayed together for years while Kekich's relationship didn't last. The media called it scandalous, and even today it stands as one of the strangest moments in baseball history. Fact 16. U2 deal. In 2014, Apple struck a $100 million deal with U2 to give their album Songs of Innocence to 500 million iTunes users, for free. But there was a catch. The album was automatically added to users' libraries without asking. The backlash was swift, and Apple had to release a tool to remove it. Ironically, only about 6.7% of users even listened to a single track. Fact 17. Bionic eyes are restoring vision. Imagine regaining your sight after years of blindness. That's the reality for some patients with bionic eyes. Devices like the Argus 2 retinal implant send electrical signals directly to the optic nerve, allowing users to see light and basic shapes again, revolutionizing vision restoration. Fact 18. The concept of zero. Long before Europeans grasped the concept, the ancient Maya had already unlocked one of math's greatest ideas, zero. As early as the 4th century CE, they used a shell-shaped glyph to represent nothing, making their calendar and number system remarkably advanced. They came to this discovery entirely on their own, separate from other civilizations like India. While Europe wouldn't widely adopt zero until nearly 1,000 years later, the Maya were already using it to track time and make astronomical calculations. A stunning reminder of how ancient wisdom can rival modern genius. Fact 19. Human cells used to grow a bladder. Imagine needing a new bladder, and doctors growing one for you in a lab using your own cells. In 2006, scientists at the Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine did just that. They harvested bladder cells from young patients with spina bifida, grew them in a lab, and created functioning bladders on biodegradable scaffolds. These lab-grown organs were then successfully transplanted into the patients, helping them regain bladder function and avoid life-threatening complications. It was one of the first times in history that a complex organ was grown outside the body and successfully used in a human transplant, paving the way for the future of regenerative medicine. Fact 20. NASA's $12 million spacesuits. Did you know that each of NASA's iconic spacesuits cost over $12 million? Exploration Extravehicular Mobility Unit, or XEMU. These high-tech suits are marvels of engineering, designed to protect astronauts from the extreme conditions of space. With advanced life support systems, specialized materials, and custom fits, they're much more than just clothing. They're personal spacecraft. But here's the catch. NASA has fewer than a dozen fully functional suits left. These suits, many dating back decades, require careful maintenance to keep them mission-ready. That's why NASA is developing new next-generation suits to ensure astronauts stay safe as we explore the Moon, Mars, and beyond. Each of the new XEMU is projected to cost around $500 million, factoring in research, development, and manufacturing expenses. This hefty price tag reflects the suit's complexity. It's essentially a personal spacecraft, equipped with life support systems, mobility enhancements, and radiation protection. Fact 21. Jesse William Lazier. In 1900, a physician named Jesse William Lazier wanted to prove that yellow fever was transmitted by mosquitoes. He allowed an infected mosquito to bite him, and he became infected with yellow fever, proving his hypothesis correct. He died 17 days later. Fact 22. Normalcy bias. During a crisis, our brains can deceive us into thinking everything's fine, even when it's not. It's called normalcy bias, a psychological glitch that makes people ignore warnings and assume life will keep going as usual. In one case, during a tornado warning, a man reported that others tried to shame him into denial just to stay calm. This dangerous mindset can delay life-saving decisions when they matter most. Fact 23. Believe it or not, human fat can actually be turned into biodiesel. That's right. The same fat removed during liposuction can be chemically processed to create fuel. In 2008, performance artist Chris Goodwin proved this in the most bizarre way imaginable, by powering a speedboat using biodiesel made in part from his own body fat. The science checks out. Fat is fat, whether it comes from plants, animals, or humans. It can be converted through a process called transesterification into a usable fuel. But before you consider a human-powered fuel tank, know this. It's highly controversial, illegal in many places, and absolutely not an accepted energy source. Still, it's a fascinating and a little unsettling reminder of just how versatile our bodies really are. Fact 24. Kelp isn't a plant. You might think kelp is just another ocean plant swaying in the waves, but it's not a plant at all. Kelp actually belongs to a completely different group of organisms called protists. Even though it looks leafy and green, it has no roots, stems, or leaves. It's a photosynthetic powerhouse, but it's more closely related to microscopic algae than to any tree or flower on land. Fact 25. Jupiter's giant magnetosphere. Jupiter's magnetosphere is, believe it or not, the largest object in our entire solar system. It's a massive magnetic bubble generated by the planet's powerful magnetic field. This magnetosphere extends millions of kilometers into space, far beyond Jupiter's own size. If it glowed in visible light, this invisible giant would appear 2 to 3 times larger than the sun or moon when viewed from Earth. Just imagine looking up and seeing something that enormous dominating the sky. Fact 26. Modern-day hermit. For 27 years, Christopher Thomas Knight, known as the North Pond Hermit, lived in complete solitude in the Maine woods, without a single real conversation. To survive, he committed nearly 1,000 burglaries, stealing food and supplies from nearby cabins. When he was finally caught in 2013, the world was stunned by his story of extreme isolation. Knight was sentenced to 7 months in jail, with conditions including mental health counseling and probation. But his tale remains one of the most remarkable and mysterious examples of modern-day hermitage. Fact 27. Tiny pollinator. In the frozen Arctic, bees are rare, but pollination still thrives, thanks to an unexpected hero non-biting midges. These tiny flies make up nearly half of the region's insect species, and are among the Arctic's most important pollinators. Hardy and efficient, they help keep fragile ecosystems alive in one of the planet's harshest climates. Fact 28. Mongols in Mongolia. Did you know there are more ethnic Mongols living in China than in Mongolia itself? While Mongolia's total population is around 3 million, about 6 million Mongols live primarily in China's Inner Mongolia region. This means China is home to more than twice as many Mongols as the country that bears their name. It's a surprising fact that highlights how borders don't always match up with cultural and ethnic groups. Fact 29. Zero and counting. The Federated States of Micronesia under-23 national football team made their debut, and so far only, appearance at the 2015 Pacific Games. Despite their enthusiasm, the team faced tough competition, losing all 3 matches and conceding a staggering 114 goals without scoring any. Their experience highlights the challenges small nations face in international sports. Fact 30. Misophonia. Misophonia is a condition where certain everyday sounds, like chewing or tapping, trigger intense emotional reactions such as anger or anxiety. It's more than just being annoyed. For those affected, these sounds can cause real distress. Scientists have found that patients with misophonia show differences in the structure of their brain's white matter compared to healthy individuals. These changes suggest that misophonia has a neurological basis, affecting how the brain processes sounds and emotions. And there you have it. 30 mind-blowing facts that prove truth is often stranger than fiction. If any of these blew your mind, made you laugh, or just left you saying, "Wait, what?" don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more amazing content, and drop your favorite fact in the comments below. Until next time, keep discovering one fact at a time.